How does wood fibre perform in a fire? So fire is obviously, an extremely important topic.
Hot topic
when it comes to buildings and building materials. It's obviously often a question in the forefront of people's minds when they're talking about organic timber-based materials. As far as we're concerned, wood fibre has some extremely useful properties in the context of a fire. What do you think about it?
So yeah, it's a question we get asked a lot. It's made of wood. It does burn. As you were saying, it's in complete combustion. You don't really get much in the way of byproducts off of it. You don't really get toxic gases off of it. With incomplete combustion, you certainly can do. You get carbon monoxide. But we've been working with wood for thousands of years, haven't we? So it's we know it well. In relation to other materials, certainly things like PIR in a fire will release cyanide. Mineral wool glass walls use a formaldehyde binder, so they release hydrochloric acid gas when they're heated. So there's significant toxic gases that come off of those products. But wood fibre, we know, and it's quite good at protecting timber frames by charring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think if fundamentally wood fibre has by itself a fire classification of E, and so if you need a non-combustible material for whatever the sort of regulatory requirement is, then there are other materials that you might need to use. But in general, wood fibre offers a number of really useful properties, as you were alluding to, in terms of passive fire protection. It burns very slowly, very predictably, with sort of relatively minimal sort of toxic impacts for occupancy. So it gives us a long time to escape the fabric. The process of sort of charring starves oxygen to the combustion process. In some instances, when you're burning wood, you can have it self-extinguish. In other instances, it just burns very slowly, offers a lot of fire protection, gives us a chance to escape the building, and emits very little nastiness during that process. So quite useful.
I get the impression that some people think that if they use a non-combustible insulation, the building's going to be all right afterwards. But when there's a fire in a building, you always have to basically strip the whole thing back to the bare bones, if the bare bones are still usable. So, just assuming that you're going to end up having to pull basically everything out anyway, you may as well use something that is low toxicity. And particularly things like, the impact on the fire brigade, when they're working with all of the plastics that are in fire, there is a reason that the fire brigade have 4 times the national average rates of cancer. These poor guys are sifting through, incredibly toxic compounds that we're putting into buildings thinking that, they're going to protect us, but they're really having a big impact on the fire brigade.
And we also load our living spaces with all sorts of combustible materials from furniture and furnishings and all the other bits there. And so really it's the sort of the passive fire protection from the fabric, having something that is going to sort of, burn slowly and predictably with few flaming droplets and all the other bits there that is really, really key.
So the final thing I wanted to say really is the sort of 3 different ways that materials are classified. So you've got the individual fire classification is how a piece of that material actually burns. So wood fibre generally has a classification of E, which admittedly isn't particularly good. But when you combine it with other materials, so the other classification is as a wall lining or a surface lining. And then when you combine it with other materials, you get really very good fire ratings. So our internal wall insulation's got a fire rating of B. And then the last classification is part of a structural member, so whether it's a roof or a wall or whatever, and that then typically gives you a timed rating. So you might have a 30-minute fire rating, but we've got structures with wood fibre that are just timber and wood fibre that go right up to 90 minutes. So you really can get great fire ratings with wood fibre, but without the toxic load.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah, good.
That was good.